Can you hear me? Okay, you can. So here I am with my wine notes, my wine spectator, and I have my Orlando. I should have gotten my Spain Starbucks cup. This is what I had, and we're speaking in front of a live international audience. I'm Jessyca Lewis. I'm a marketing and digital strategist for the brands you know and love, and we are broadcasting on YouTube, Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and TikTok. So, and I'm working on Twitch. So the broadcast is usually at 9 a.m. on Friday mornings. And I feature experts in wine, social media, marketing, leadership, and marketing executives. And today we're talking to Yolanda Martínez García. And Yolanda, why don't you tell us where you're located right now?
I'm in Albacete, Spain.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your area?
Yeah, sure. So I'm in Castilla-La Mancha. It's a huge wine region. You might have heard of it. It's like 2 hours away from Martínez.
So what is the Spanish wine region known for? Is there a specialty for Spanish wine there, or the grapes?
Yeah, so here we work with different grapes, with Bobal, Tempranillo, but also Airén. I think it's the most widely planted grape here. So yeah, but I actually come from Valencia, which is another different wine region, specific like Utiel Requena wine region. So I know more about that wine region. The grape variety is Bobal, is very widely planted. And I grew up there because my family owns a winery there. But yeah, now I'm here in Castilla-La Mancha because I'm working here for Ex Italia. It's a wine consultancy. Do you want me to tell you a bit about my background?
You can talk about your past work, and then you can also talk about what you're doing now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I come from a family winery. My granddad used to own a winery, and then my dad kept going with the business, and that's how I grew up in the wine world, and how I got to learn a lot of things about wine. But it wasn't until I was like 21 that I went to study to the UK when I really fell in love with wine, because I could see wine from a completely different perspective, in a more attractive and bold way, which is way more appealing for a young lady. And that's when I decided to make a living of wine. That's when I decided that I wanted to work doing wine marketing. Then I went to California to do a winemaking internship in Kendall Jackson Winery in Lakeport. And I got to learn a lot about winemaking, but also about marketing, because they do great marketing in California. And then I came back to Spain and I worked with my family at the winery for a while. But I decided that I wanted to learn outside the family business. I wanted to do something else. So I found a good opportunity here in Albacete. I'm working for Ex Italia, which is a wine consultancy. They do the marketing and public relations for Spanish wineries so they can promote their wines abroad. And I think that the work that they do is very crucial. It's very important for Spanish wineries in order to sell their wines, to improve their marketing. And that's what I love what I do, because I think that is very, very, very necessary. You know, like wineries, like most of the Spanish wineries are small or medium ones. They cannot afford to have their own marketing department. And they need help in that. So that's what we do. We help wineries.
It sounds like you have a big passion for wine and you have a big passion for marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. So,
we have a lot in common.
I'm really interested in hearing about your marketing perspective. So you have a lot of marketing perspectives about Generation Z. And so I'm interested in hearing about, so what do you think the current trends in wine consumption among Generation Z are?
I would say we care a lot about health. mental and physical health. So that's why we care a lot about balance. And I think that's the reason why we are not into binge drinking. So I think that we don't drink as much as previous generations used to do. Because we care a lot about our health. So it's like we drink, but more like less quantity. But that's not a bad thing, because we are also very into natural, organic products, and that means we are gonna drink better. We are gonna drink maybe more premium wines, better quality wines. Also, we are not into binge drinking, as I just said, and I think the reason because we care about health, but also nowadays we have many different options when it comes to do activities in our free time. So whenever we have some holidays or just free time, like after work, we can do so many different things. Like we can travel very cheap. We can, I don't know, like go to the mountain or go to escape room, for example, or there is like a huge list of things we can do. I think that 20, 30, 50 years ago, they were only able to, I don't know, like go to the bar or go to the pub after work. Whereas nowadays we have many different things to do, and that's why we don't drink as much, because we can do like, I don't know, do so many different things instead.
Do you know in general, so I'm Generation X and you're Generation Z, correct? Do you know a little bit, can you talk about in general some of the characteristics of Generation Z? Or is that too broad?
Yeah, so it's a bit of,
Okay.
yeah, it's quite broad. but yeah, still, like I think that more or less I can let you know about I think that,
Okay.
yeah, as I just said, we care a lot about health. We are very mind conscious, we are very into mindfulness, all these kind of things. And we are very worried about the environment, like the pollution and all of that. So that's why we would choose more eco-friendly products as well. So that's
Okay,
what
so
I
you're
think
looking,
that
okay,
I
good.
think that wineries have a very good opportunity and advantage there, because they would choose like natural, low intervention, organic wines. And that is something that wine can do. But for example, I don't know, other brands such as Coca-Cola or Fanta cannot do. They will never be able to do something like that. So if wineries convey their message well, they can reach young audiences.
Okay. So how does Generation
Oh, it was
Z
like,
preferences from those of the previous generations? So what do you think the other generations like, and what does your generation like?
I think that we definitely like authenticity. Like we like very authentic things. We care a lot about that. And connection. Those two things are fundamental for this generation.
Okay. And Art, what do you think? Do you know much about my generation? Have you looked at the different generations and what the consumption habits are?
Yeah, maybe I don't know about your generation as much as I know.
My generation wasn't
But yeah,
wine
I see
drinkers.
quite a lot.
There's a little bit of a delay. When I ask a question, can you hear it pretty quickly?
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit of delay. Okay, perfect.
No, not at all. I'm gonna try to connect my laptop to my phone's data, because my Wi-Fi doesn't seem to be working.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try to do that, because yeah, there is a delay and it's quite annoying.
Yeah, I wondered. It
So
seemed like I asked a question and it would take a little while for you to hear it. Are you ready, or do we need to wait a minute? Oh, there's a delay.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Um, so are there specific types of wine? So you said, okay, there's specific types of wine, low alcohol, organic, that are more popular among Generation Z. And then how important are sustainability and ethical practices to Generation Z when choosing wine?
It's very important. To us, it's super important. Like I have friends, like I have a lot of vegan or vegetarian friends, and friends that care a lot about about the environment. That they would go to, like special shops like for organic products. Like they, even though young generations, like young people, just like me, I'm 23 years old. Even though we make less money than older people, we would be able. Willing to spend our money in better quality products. So we better quality for our health, and also because we know that they are more eco-friendly and they are produced in a way that they don't pollute as much as other products. So that's something very important to us.
Does that include all of your shopping? So when you're shopping in general, are you looking for environmental products? And then it also goes into your wine as well?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in general shopping, even for clothes. Like we would
Okay.
buy a lot of like second-hand clothes, and every time I see more brands, like for example Zara, they are including this second-hand clothes option, and a lot of people are doing that. We also use Vinted, for example. I don't know if Vinted, if I'm
I don't know.
pronouncing it
What does that
correctly,
mean?
but
It's
it's
okay. What does it
it's,
mean?
it's an app. It's an app in which you can find second-hand clothes,
Okay.
and it's a thing like among people my age, we use it very frequently. So, and that's why we do care a lot about the environment.
When you are saying you care about the environment, are there specific environmental concerns that are your generation is more interested in?
I would say the main one, climate change.
Climate
uh,
change.
yeah,
Okay.
we see it's happening the North Pole. We see images of what's happening. Also, the heavy rains that didn't used to happen as often as they are happening nowadays, at least in Spain, or the heat waves, all of those things that didn't happen 50 years ago, and now
And
they are becoming bigger and worse.
And when I was working in Italy, and so I was teaching wine marketing, and I was working in Italy. And when I was there, it was one of the hottest summers. And some of the things I didn't think about is the environmental impacts on the wine. So when it's raining very heavily or it's 105 degrees, it might ruin the crop for the year, and they may not have a vintage that year. So it was interesting to see how the environment is particularly well. I think it's going all over the world, but it's interesting to see what's happening with the wine based on environmental impacts. And I'm
Yeah,
sure you're seeing that in Spain as well. So
yeah.
okay, so what steps can wineries take to appeal to Generation Z's value regarding sustainability?
I think that wineries, they need to be authentic, they need to be honest, and they need to, like, if you are a small winery handcrafting your wines, why would you try to sell your wine saying, oh, we are traditional family, we do premium wines? No, just, I mean, we all know your wines are good quality ones, but just say something like our wines are natural, we are here in the nature. Just show the vineyards, just um, show that your products are artisan, and that is people that are doing those wines. It's not a factory. Also, it's very important
So then
that you
okay,
don't.
so there's family involvement. There's actually love and family involved as opposed to it's just being pushed out by a big corporate entity.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
really
exactly.
good. Go ahead, finish saying what you were saying.
Yeah, I was gonna say just don't create a barrier between you and your customers. Just talk to them as if they were friends, mainly in social media. I've seen that it works very well when you are just doing a spontaneous video, a random video showing the vineyards. Like today I'm pruning, or today I don't know, whatever. Just make the customers, make them feel part of your project as well. Like they're not just customers. Like maybe you can also do polls or ask them questions through social media. Like, oh, did you like last year's vintage? Would you rather it to be more fruity or to have more wood or less? Or I don't know. I think that that works really well.
When you were in the United States, so you were with people your age in the United States, and then you were with people your age in Spain. Could you see the cultural differences in the two countries with your generation, and then also the wine consumption in the United States versus Spain? What did you see?
Okay, actually, when I was in the US, I used to be with international people. So yeah, I used to have American friends, but there was a mix of
There was a big mix.
Brazil,
Okay.
Mexican, Italian friends. So yeah, I think that we have like quite similar habits and drinking habits as well. Like I saw that we have a lot in common. Like for example, we love drinking while we game, like board games, for example, or like beer pong or those kind of things, but with wine as well. And yeah, I could see that we definitely are not into binge drinking. It's just like part of a socializing moment. But yeah, it's quite similar. I noticed a bigger difference when I was in the UK because there
Okay.
I studied at university for 2 years, and my British friends or Irish friends as well, I could see that I don't know. The culture is quite different when it comes to drinking. They would just like go to a pub, sit down and drink. Whereas in Spain, for example, I'm more used to the drinks just be part of the whole moment. But we would also dance a lot. For example, we are very into music, like Latin music, and we whenever we go out, it's quite common to see people dancing and to dance with your friends. Whereas in the UK, no one does that. Like you need to go to a nightclub, but that's more weird or uncommon. People usually hang out, sit down, drink, and talk.
I like what they do in Spain. I like that a little more than the sitting down and drinking without having any kind of social aspect to it. I like how it's incorporated into your meal and the family and the food, and there's a lot of history involved. I like all of that. I don't like the let's sit down and have a beer and drink all night until we're inebriated. I agree. I'm with you there. Okay,
Yeah.
so how does social media influence Generation Z's wine purchases?
To be honest, I think that right now, like nowadays, there is a lot of work to do. I don't think that wineries are investing enough money in social media. And I don't think, I might be wrong, but I don't think that wine influencers work. I think that lifestyle influencers work better than wine influencers, because wine influencers is like it's like when they specify so much in a product. Like I think that only people working in the industry, in the wine industry, follow these kind of influencers, but not like regular people. That's what I think, that maybe like fashion influencers or cosmetic or travel influencers, they would sell your wine better because they would introduce the wine as part of their lifestyle, like something normal, like common, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's a better strategy rather than relying on wine influencers.
Wine influencers.
Yeah.
What marketing strategies are most effective in reaching Generation Z wine consumers?
I would say social media. Just if you're
So
not on
primarily
social
social
media,
media? Okay.
yeah,
And
yeah.
no traditional marketing. So if you're looking at traditional marketing with your generation, what traditional marketing are you using on a daily basis? So for example, are you responding to television advertisements? Are you listening to radio, or are you reading things in magazines?
Never.
How are you consuming advertising and marketing?
Social media.
Social media. Okay.
Yeah,
So
no
all of
radio,
the
no
traditional
TV.
advertising. So my generation, so when the generation above me was consuming advertising, which would be my mother, with television. They were reading newspapers. They were listening to radio. My generation, I don't watch television. And if I'm listening to radio, I'm usually listening to NPR, which is usually some sort of, it has a lot of marketing articles and things about the economy and things like that. But my consumption is generally from social media as well for my generation, but I'm not consuming in the traditional way. So sometimes it's hard to know how to reach us. How important is mentorship for women in the wine industry, and how can it be fostered? So do you have a mentor, and how important do you think that is?
A mentor.
A mentor.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah, but I don't
Okay.
think that I have only one. I think that I just admire some people, some persons, but not just one specific person. I just like look at what I like the most about different people and try to apply that to my own life and way of doing things.
Do you have any women that are older than you that are helping shape your career or helping you along the path?
So lately, I've been following a lot Priscilla. That's the first person that comes to my mind because yeah, I just love the way she communicates, the way she conveys her message, and it's so different from what I've seen before. That yeah, I really like what she's building. To be honest.
And I'm a mentor to younger people, and as you get older, you can be the mentor that you would like to see also. What advice would you give to young women aspiring to enter the wine industry?
What advice? That's a very good question. I would just say like try to be yourself. I know it's very common message, but be yourself and don't let others push you down, because everyone has their own opinion, and that doesn't mean that their opinion is better than yours. So they might make you have doubts, but I mean, if you are you and you like doing things in a certain way, just do it, because that's exactly what we need: new and different and fresh ideas. So if you have a very disruptive idea that is never done before, don't be afraid. Just say it and try to do it. And I think that women, I mean, we need to be heard, because in this industry that is mainly is mainly men. We need to be together. That's very important, and help each other and support each other and do a lot of things.
Do you find, is it difficult to work with men? Is that changing at all? Because I'm seeing a lot of women. I started doing a YouTube channel about women in wine, and a lot of women have been participating, and it seems like there's a lot of women that are involved in wine. Do you feel like your generation can change that? And is it difficult? Do you feel like you're being respected for your age and also for being a woman?
I think that I'm being respected because of being a woman, but not because of my age. I think that being young is quite difficult for me to find good opportunities and well-paid opportunities. That's a thing not only in the wine industry, but in many different industries. And it's very sad because I think that young generations, Generation C, we have a lot of things to bring to the wine industry. We have a lot of different ideas. We have a lot of knowledge because, yeah, some people might think we are stupid because we are all day with our laptops or phones, but no, it's the opposite. We have access to a lot of information and we are aware of so many different things that like other generations our age didn't know, just because, yeah, with the internet we can know basically everything. And as we grew up with this technology, we are so used to it that it's like so, how do I say this, like so normal. Like we are very dynamic and flexible when it comes to adapting to technology. So that's a very big advantage that companies are not seeing. Like they don't take this into consideration when it comes to giving us opportunities. But well, I hope that that this starts changing.
I think that all of the generations, so I think generation boomers, X, Y, Z, Alpha, we all have different things that we can add to the conversation. So I think that all of us working together is a wonderful thing. Some of us that are older can mentor those that are younger, and then
Yeah.
those of you that are younger have insights and of different generational things that the rest of us need to know. And so I think it's wonderful to mix the generations.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're right.
how does Generation Z's consumption of wine compare to other alcoholic beverages like beer and hard seltzer?
This is a very good question.
Or
So
Coca-Cola even?
So from what I've seen, okay, I would say most of my friends prefer beer over wine. And whenever I ask them why, they are like, oh, but beer is cheap, accessible, is everywhere, and it's just easy. You don't have to think, you just order a beer and that's it. They don't ask you, oh, but sweet, dry, blah, blah, like things that, I don't know. And yeah, that's very sad, but it's something we really have to change.
My generation, so Generation X was totally skipped. Generation X were not wine drinkers. So it went from boomers to skip Generation X and then went straight to Generation Y for the marketing. So I had no, I grew up in the United States. So the things that are different between my country and your country is I grew up in the United States and there was no wine consumed in meals. So this wasn't part of the culture. So I had no intellectual knowledge about wine. And really, at the time I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of alcohol consumed culturally with dinner, etc. So there's not that family togetherness with food and wine that's so popular in Europe, that's so wonderful. So would you like to add anything else about what your visions are for the wine industry or women in the wine industry, what you hope to see?
Well, as I just said, yeah, I think that John C, we have a lot of things to bring to the wine industry. Instead of complaining about how Generation C is not drinking wine, I think that wineries or wine companies, they should just give more opportunities to these young people so they can be part of the change. Because we know better than anyone else what our friends are gonna like. So we know how to do a good marketing. We know how to convey the message. And yeah, I would just say that.
Just include us in all of your marketing strategies and hire us and have us involved, and we all work together. Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah, and I think that's really nice too. And do you want to talk just a little bit about the fun things to do where you live? Like if we were to come to where you are, what kind of things do you do on the weekends and in the evening? What kind of fun activities are there?
Yeah, so I've been living in Albacete for only 2 months. So I'm going to tell you about Valencia.
Okay, so you're trying to find out what the things are to do there. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you about Valencia, where I grew up. Valencia is in southeastern Spain in the Mediterranean Sea. And there are so many different things to do. I just love the culture, the slow life, the sea, good food, seafood, paella, a lot of historical monuments that you can visit with hundreds of years of history. You can visit as well very old wineries, like from the 15th century. The history is very rich, and also the sea, the beach is super nice. Also, for you being from the States, coming here is quite cheap, so you can eat amazing food, drink amazing wines for a very fair price. And just the vibes, the Spanish vibes, people laughing, very friendly, very easygoing. What I was telling you about earlier, like whenever we go out, we dance. We are very social. We talk to everyone. So yeah, you definitely have to come, and I'm inviting everyone that is watching this to come to experience Valencia, its people, the food, the wines. I'm sure you will love it.
It sounds wonderful. I'd love to come to Spain. In fact, this summer I'm coming to Spain, so when we're finished, I'll talk to you about that a little bit.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. So it was really nice to talk to you, and we're going to tell our viewers bye, and this will be broadcast. So I will have this in a variety of formats, but we're going to have a LinkedIn broadcast. We'll have a Facebook broadcast. I also have this on YouTube, Twitter, and Pinterest and Instagram. So people will be able to see this in a variety of different ways, and I will send this to you as well. So thank you so much, and we'll end the broadcast.
Thank you, Jessyca. It's been very nice talking to you. Thank you.
Too. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
See you soon.